to Raw Tea Sessions, a space where we have the real, unfiltered conversations that people keep locked up.
And drink tea.
Yes, and drink tea. Tonight is sweet tea because it be hot in the South.
We are two survivors of childhood sexual abuse who are choosing to speak about what many people spend their lives trying to hide.
And we want this to be a place where survivors feel seen, understood, and empowered.
And we want to show you God's love in ways that you may never have seen it before.
This isn't just a podcast about what happened to us.
It's about grief, anger, hard conversations, learning, growth, healing, and reclaiming who we are.
And our hope is being able to help you do the same.
Who's ready for the real story? So some common language and working definitions that we'll be using. We want everyone to understand what we're saying, and for the sake of this podcast, we might use language that's slightly different than in other circumstances.
And triggering.
Yes, and possibly with multiple triggers.
CSA, childhood sexual abuse, is that abbreviation.
It's sexual conduct that occurs between an adult and a child under 18 years. It can include exposure, language, or touching.
SAV is sexual abuse victim.
And RAINN, RAINN, it's a network of resources with 24/7 support available to sexual abuse survivors. You can call 1-800-656-HOPE or text HOPE to 64637. There's also a website.
So for our very first podcast, we're going to talk about the why behind what we're doing.
Sometimes this sort of conversation can be hard, and a lot of times it's stigmatizing. And for us, we just really want to be able to reach people. So we're going to start with some facts about sexual abuse victims and childhood sexual abuse.
Approximately 60,000 identified children are victims of sexual abuse in the United States alone every year.
In about 93% of sexual abuse cases, the perpetrator is known and trusted by the child prior to the abuse.
1 in 4 girls and 1 in 13 boys are victims of CSA in the United States.
And that means picture a classroom. Picture a classroom full of kids, right? 24 kids in a class. That means 6 girls and 1 to 2 boys have been or will be affected by CSA in their lifetime. That's the most sobering thought ever. And adults who experienced CSA are 3 times more likely to be abused as an adult in similar ways.
CSA victims experience long and short-term physical health issues, such as chronic pain, obesity,
cardiopulmonary symptoms, urinary tract infections, insomnia,
anxiety disorders, infertility, and STDs.
CSA victims are subjected to many psychiatric disorders, such as depression, PTSD, substance abuse, eating disorders, self-harm, borderline personality disorder, sexual dysfunction, and suicidal behavior.
And with suicidal behavior, 80% who attempt suicide have a history of child abuse. And more than half are CSA victims specifically.
And one of the saddest thoughts ever is that only 12% of CSA cases are reported.
That is so sad.
And that's something that we're looking to change. I mean, that's part of why we're doing what we're doing.
And our CSA cases were reported, but nothing came of them.
Right. So even when reported. But you know what? That's a future podcast.
Yeah.
The more facts and statistics that are quite sobering.
Children with any type of disability are 10% more likely to experience CSA.
They're more vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Easier to target, easier to isolate.
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, a child's first experience with sexual abuse is before the age of 8 years old.
Both of ours was.
Yep.
Child sexual abuse isn't normally just one event. So it requires children's brains to be rewired because they're worried all the time, waiting for the next instance to happen. So it significantly changes their brain chemistry and emotional patterns.
I mean, and that's part of what leads to PTSD.
Right.
People a lot of times think of PTSD as just people who were in war or experienced physical major trauma like that, but childhood sexual abuse rewires brains to that exact same. Childhood sexual abuse shows up in male victims often through physical violence and bullying. So, it's not that every child who's out there bullying or being violent has been abused, but a lot of times with little boys, they internalize it, and that's how it shows up externally.
That's how it comes out.
Yep. And in little girls, it shows up often as the child being quieter or more distant than usual, being clingier than usual, unusual new fears, sometimes about touch, being alone, or being with a specific person or in a particular place, which we both experienced that. Mm-hmm. Difficulty concentrating or zoning out, eat, sleep, or hygiene changes, acting out, and other behavior changes. I mean, it's really such a large range. And again, any of those behaviors do not necessarily indicate that the child is being abused, but man, is it a good reason to look at what's going on.
It is. And it's not just solo to girls. That could also, those behaviors could be found in boys too.
Exactly.
Up to 20% of women report being a sexual abuse victim in childhood.
That's crazy. That's just crazy. 20%. That's 1 out of every 5 people. Mm-hmm. Just think about your group of friends, right? If you have a group of friends. It's okay. I mean, pretend you have a group of friends. Right. Think about them. 1 out of every 5 could really have been a victim at some point of sexual abuse. Mm-hmm. In the United States, someone is sexually assaulted every minute. And every 9 minutes, one of those people is a child.
That's a crazy perspective.
9 minutes. We've been talking for, I don't know, probably 9 minutes.
Mm-hmm. A crazy perspective.
And that is why we're doing this.
60 to 80% don't disclose until adulthood, if at all.
So many survivors grow up carrying shame, guilt, confusion, and trauma that isn't theirs to carry.
So those are facts and statistics on the why behind why we're doing this podcast.
And they're hard.
They are.
When we first were researching them,
I know.
We both kept coming to each other. And it's hard.
It's sad.
Yeah.
Very. And what a time in the world to be bringing this up and starting this podcast, because everyone is aware of it right now.
And it's almost like, okay, this is God's timing, and this is when it's supposed to be. And at the same time, I'm sure, triggering. And again, if you are being triggered, please find someone to chat with. I mean, even if it's casual like we do, we bounce crap off of each other all day, every day. Yeah. Like, wait a minute, I read this, I saw this, I thought this.
It's as hard as it is for you as it is for me.
Right. And sometimes the answer is no, but this is hard. Mm-hmm. And that's okay too. Just having someone to listen and understand.
Be there with you.
Right. They don't even have to have been in the same boat, as long as they believe you and they listen. Mm-hmm. This is all heavy, but I just realized something. Do you know what we never did?
What's that?
We never introduced ourselves.
Well done. We should.
Right. I'm Brandy.
I'm Gabrielle, but everyone calls me Gabby. We are 2 friends.
Same story.
Different outlooks.
So we met, what was it, like 4 years ago when we moved in?
When you copied me and moved in
next to me. You. She was here 3 months before me, folks.
And we also did not know of each other's existence until then.
Can't copy someone you didn't know. But you know what? Once we knew each other, we knew each other.
Yeah, we kind of just blended together as family, as though we never were apart.
And our families coexist together, and we coexist together.
Yes.
We work similar jobs.
We do. We bounce back and forth ideas and suggestions. We help each other out and back each other up. It's really nice. Sometimes I feel like we're running a family business.
Kind of. And, my crew in my house is a little larger than her house, and they all consider her theirs, and
yes,
I consider her mine.
It's quite a beautiful thing.
It is.
We don't have a group of 5 friends, but we do have each other.
Which I would take that over a group of 5 friends any day.
And it's more than most people.
Yeah. Yep. If you can find you a Gabby, I recommend it.
I agree. If you can find you a Brandy, snag it.
So, same story, right?
Yep. We are both SAVs.
From our dads.
Yep.
Both taught not to talk about it.
Sweep it under the rug. You don't talk about your feelings or your trauma. I think a lot of people were taught that.
Right. Yeah, right. I mean, because that's why childhood sexual abuse is such a quiet, taboo topic. We both had a fair amount of manipulation and coercion, both during
and after.
Yeah. Our abuse. And still deal with the effects of it to one extent or another today.
Quite literally.
But the difference is we talk about it.
We do.
We deal with it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hidden. It's not behind closed doors. And that is the value in a support system. That's the value in having you.
Oh. Just one value? No, I'm just...
No, that's the only one. That's the only thing, folks. No, not at all.
So we also have different outlooks. Most of the time with SAVs, they have one extreme or the other in multiple different scenarios. So we have different complications.
Yeah, here's the thing. You don't like to go here, and I don't know why. You're ridiculous. It was your idea in the first place. But back when we first connected just on this specific topic, one of the things that you said was that we're a double-edged sword.
Yes, because we have 2 different perspectives on a lot of important topics.
With the same history. With a very similar history.
And it's not that I don't like to talk about it. It's just it's not the only thing I would use to describe it.
Right. But it is kind of a cool...
It is.
A cool visual, anyway, for other people.
My situations come from alcohol abuse and coupled with just abuse in general, not just sexual.
And a fair amount of narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
And mine comes with mental illness and possible narcissism or who knows what in the secondary parent. And these are all topics that we'll talk about in future podcasts.
Most definitely.
Just giving some background information for right now anyway.
So that is how we are 2 friends with the same story, but different outlooks.
A double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm. So we have some questions that we are going to ask each other.
Okay, so we have 3 questions. Are we both asking each other all 3?
Yes.
Okay. I'll go first. Okay. What made you decide that you were ready to speak about this publicly?
It was never really a decision. I think I always wanted to speak about it publicly. I mean, that's what started my whole CPS case, right? When I was a child.
This is part of our double-edged sword, our opposite reactions to things.
Yeah. So I always wanted to talk about it.
You're more willing to buck a system than I am. I was taught not to talk about it, so I didn't talk about it. You were taught not to talk about it, so you're like, guess what?
Let's talk about it.
Here, hold my beer. No, not a date. But, or whatever.
Hold my tea.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was never not ready to talk about it. But what about you? What made you declare that you were ready to speak about this particular topic?
I mean, I think the number one piece that made it really kind of safe for me to do so was having that support system, right? Without it, and with having been taught from such a young age not to talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
I have never really been willing to. And with all of the stuff going on in the media now and all of the information out there, and I come from an education background, so knowing kids personally who were affected, I feel like, you know what? If I don't speak, who's going to?
Yeah.
How do I expect other people to do something I'm not willing to do?
And that's another big reason that we're doing this podcast, is to bring awareness to the situation.
Right.
So in hopes that we're protecting other little people.
Right. Who knows somebody?
Right.
And if you do see something, say something.
Yes. So many survivors stay silent. What helped you find your voice?
That's a hard one for me, because I feel like I found my voice in pieces. And there were times I found my voice a little bit, and then it was shut right back down and buried again. And then I would find it again for a little bit, and then it would be shut right back down and buried again. So I think I've gone through that cycle through my entire life.
I think that the mental illness and the secondary parent plays a large part.
Yeah, right. And that makes it hard, right? Is when there's not an initial support system.
Yeah, it's never accepted.
Right, exactly. So how about you? What many survivors stay silent? What helped you find your voice?
Kind of like the question before, I always had a voice.
Yeah.
But through my CPS case, I learned that it was best for my family that I stay silent. But I was never convinced that it was best for me. So with all of the pieces and all of the statistics that we did research on and everything like that, it just makes me want to scream it from the rooftops, you know?
Choose what's best for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, forget them, you know?
Yeah.
Being put in a corner of, you got to make decisions that are best for your family. You have to look out for other people. Why?
Which, by the way, at, 12, 13 years old, that's not something any 12-year-old that I know is equipped to.
Absolutely not.
Like, make that decision and to carry that.
Thinking about the fact that I was making a decision that was also best for my abuser.
That's right.
That's a hard place to be. Yeah. So I think for a long time, I was silent.
All right. For our last question, I'm going to ask you. Okay. First, anyway. What is one thing that people associate about survivors of CSA that are not always true? I know it's a tough one.
It is. I think that, like, people assume that they're... I guess I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for me. Mm-hmm. So people assume that because I want to come out and talk about it now and take measures now and do the things, that I am falling into a victim role.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And they're like, why didn't you do it sooner? Why are you waiting now? Like, what are you gaining from it now? And it's not like that. It's just I didn't know how. I didn't have the right tools. And
you had been shushed.
Yes. And I was taught to keep the peace.
I think you're right. I think that is definitely something that people associate and misunderstand about it, is
that people who talk about it, the power. Yeah, people who talk about it they have a victim personality.
Right. Or that they're doing it for
clout.
Mm-hmm. A reason.
Yep. What about you? What is one thing that people associate about survivors of CSA that isn't always true?
I think one of the big things that I think people associate in general with trauma, not just CSA, but is that the healing process is linear. You're past that. Oh, yeah, but you did that. Oh, okay, but it's not linear. It is not just a straight line. There's ups, there's downs, there's triggering points such as your own child being the same age as abuse that happened. It's like, whoa, man. I mean, everyone just assumes I'm way past that by now and that I should be, it's how many ever years later, 36 years, whatever you want to say, right?
Right.
And people just assume that whole process is a one and done. It's linear. Once you've done something or talked about something, it's over, and it's really not. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of important for people to know.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I never felt normal about that until we talked. I never felt like that was... I never understood, right? Because seeing things in each other is different. Right? You see something, I see something in you, and I don't question it. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Okay. So
you don't know if that makes sense.
I believe that healing is similar to a relationship with a spouse or a loved one, and same thing with the relationship yourself. I've told you this before. When you wake up, you have to choose to love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that you learn to do and it sticks with you, like riding a bike. It's something that you have to wake up and choose every day. And I think healing is similar to that. You have to wake up and choose to do the hard things and to think about the hard things and to work through them.
Right. And it's still hard.
Oh, yeah. And it never gets easier and it never goes away. You're never just healed.
And that's okay.
It is.
And it doesn't mean that you're not doing the process.
No.
And you're not doing the process right. And I think that's something that a lot of people misunderstand in general.
Oh, yeah. And it's so worth it. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. Could you imagine where you would be if we didn't do everything that we did?
I know, right? I mean, especially given all the life circumstances of the past 3 years.
I know.
Which obviously will be different. Podcast hosts.
Yeah.
So if you can't tell, she's the technology one. I'm not. So I just go with the flow. And I might not use the right words, but that's okay. It's because I'm elderly.
She's not elderly. We do have quite an age gap, though.
That's okay. We're not going to talk about that.
We do have quite an age gap. I am 26.
And I am a few years older than that. Maybe 20. Maybe 20 years old.
Yes. Yes. So that's also a part of the double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
Is our age difference.
Right. Definitely is.
It happened in completely different
time frames.
Decades.
Say that word decades again. See what happens.
Say that lightly.
So, really, we just want you to know that we're here. So, as we close up,
if you are a survivor listening to this, we want you to know that you are not alone.
That's one of the most isolating things, is feeling like, because it's such a quiet topic, because it's not something people talk about. Feeling alone is a big thing.
And the statistics of how many people are abused, how can you feel alone? Right? But we are here for you, and you are not alone.
So many survivors grow up carrying guilt, shame, and so much more, right?
Yes. We both experience that. And every day we have to choose not to carry guilt and shame that was never ours to carry.
Right.
And none of that is ours to carry.
Healing is possible. It is so worth everything it takes to get there. Not that we're going to claim we're healed, but healing is worth it. That process is worth it.
And we love you, and God loves you, and we're not giving up on this journey with you.
Also, we'll discuss RAIN another time. If you or someone you know is a survivor in need of support, that RAIN network is a great first step and is available anytime you need it. 1-800-656-HOPE. Or you can text HOPE to 64637.
And if you have any questions or comments, you can find us.
Oh, yeah, this is the exciting part.
At Unfiltered Tea Podcast on TikTok.
Or we have an email address that you have to hook me up to, by the way. So I can, rawteasessions@gmail.com.
And that's about it. Until next time.